Alright, on my count, 3, 2, 1, roll away.
Well, welcome to another race analysis. This is a Tuesday night criterium with Norwood Cycling Club. I'm racing B grade or Cat 2, and the main feature of tonight is that it is windy. Coming down the south straight here, there's a strong right to left wind, and then as you go around the bottom corner on the map, you turn into a really strong headwind. The wind kind of died down towards the end of the race, but for the first half of the race and first sort of 3/4 of the race, it was really strong. And the one thing about windy races is that it usually means that a breakaway goes. It's just much harder to consistently sit in the wheels, and typically brakes stay away. I've already done a workout today, so this is never going to be a winning race for me. What I really wanted was a workout, and as you'll see, that's exactly what I got. But what I really wanted to look at today is just that critical moment when a breakaway goes, and what seals the bunch's fate to not being able to bring it back. So we're a few laps into the race. There's a single rider off the front, and then this is the sort of thing that happens that just disrupts a break. The rider directly ahead of me, he loses the wheel. I didn't actually see him flick the elbow on the day, and then all of a sudden there's a big gap, and that's the end of that consistent chase effort. I put in a bit of a dig to try to bring that back together, but then there's 3 different people trying to chase rather than just one dragging along the whole field. We bring those two back, although the solo rider's still off the front, and there's a few more attacks that have just gone a few seconds ago, and that's the usual pace of the race for the first sort of 5-10 minutes is always just trying to get a break established. Suddenly, I don't know if this is an attack or a bridge or a chase attempt, that goes pretty hard, and I'm in a good enough position to get on it. But this is where it really shows how tricky the wind is. I've got no idea what happened there. I think someone was trying to flick an elbow, pull through, but that pretty much put paid to my chase effort just there. We're a bit later on in the race. There's a group of 6. They've got about a 10-metre gap, and there's a chase group going after them. So I have to get on this one, so I put in a bit of a dig. And just as I get up to the back of this little chase group, unfortunately the wind goes out of their sails, and people start just flicking off. And I'll spoil the end of the race for you now. This is when the group of 6 gets up the road and we never see them again. And this is one of the really critical moments in this race. This is when the break gets away, and this is when the race is lost for the rest of us. I'm yelling out at people to pull through and off. I can see the break. There's 6 people up the road, and I don't want to let that go. There are some strong riders in that bunch. I can see Toby Simpson, I can see Nick Chabrel in the green. These are some super strong riders, and I do not want to let them get away. So I get on the front, I do a reasonable turn at sort of 450, 460 watts, and hopefully just try to get the chase working together. Now at this point I don't want to bridge across. That gap's too big for me to bridge solo. What I want is for people to work together and close it down. And for a while people do start to pull turns. Jared and Alistair on the front now. Jared's going to pull a massive turn, but unfortunately what we see here is that there's a lot of unmotivated people sitting behind us who just aren't willing to do any work to chase down a break, but they're not willing to sit at the back of the pack and let other people do some turns. And this is a bit of a personal gripe of mine, but I absolutely hate it when someone sits at the front of the race or near the front of the race and refuses to pull through and do a turn. I get that there are team tactics and there might be times when you want to do that, try to disrupt a chase, but these are solo races. We're not meant to be racing in teams, and it really does get frustrating. Now looking in the rear camera, Jared, who's just done a big turn, he ends up slotting in back in 4th because the guy in the red jersey, who I think is from Black Chrome, he doesn't pull through and follow after this guy in the blue and yellow kit from Keystone. So when Alistair pulls off and I get back on the front, again I want to do a reasonable turn. Alistair pulls off, and then Jared just doesn't have the legs to pull through after the Keystone guy. Jared's done a massive turn, and then he's just got hung out to dry. And although we can still see the break up the road, I think that's when this race was lost. So just looking at that little section again through the rear camera, you can see, I think it's Nick Clark sitting in 4th wheel here, so there's 2 guys ahead of me. Jared's just pulling back through here, and just here when he slots onto Jared's wheel, that's the end of this break. That's the end of this chase. Jared has just done too much work, and so when Alistair pulls off and I hit the front again, Jared just can't follow the wheel. And I don't really know what Jared could have done here, because he couldn't really go any further off to the side to let people come past. That was just impossible for him. Anyway, Keystone here pulls through, and I do a big effort. I mean, I'm hitting 500 watts just trying to get back onto his wheel. And again, this uneven sort of chasing is never going to effectively bring back a break. And I mean, even though just up the road you can just see the back end of that break when this kid pulls past, instead of getting straight in front of me and then winding it up, he attacks to try to get across. And I don't have anything in the legs at this point to go with him. A few seconds later, we get picked up by this little train coming through with the two Everything Bikes riders in the green. And we've got a group of 5 here who, in theory, could do pretty well to try to chase it back. I mean, if this group works well together. Unfortunately, what happens instead is whoever's on the front is always just going way too hard. It's like they're trying to bridge the whole gap in one lap rather than trying to do it consistently over a few. And sure enough, when the first Everything Bikes rider in green pulls off and the second one goes through, he just hits it too hard. Keystone up here in the blue and yellow, he's exhausted, he's done too much. He can't hold the wheel. And then this lovely little group of 5 just disintegrates one more time, and I'm left chasing once again. A lap later, the chase is falling apart. People are losing the wheel all over the place. And that's curtains. I pull through one more time to see if there's anything I can do just to keep the pace steady and bring it up. But at this point we can't see the break ahead of us anymore. This is a different grade who's just finishing up with their race. And so now we're back in what I had originally wanted from this race anyway, which is a workout. So I am just going to do turns as much as I can. The break's gone as far as I'm concerned, but I can still get something out of the race. Now, having said that, I think I am still getting a bit frustrated because I was hoping that we might, start to work together a little bit, but it all just keeps disintegrating at the front. I come through just because it's slowed right down and I want to keep the pace high. And again, people just refuse to pull through or just drop wheels. I didn't realise. Oh, so Orlando hops on my wheel just here. Lockie's sort of drifted off the back a bit. I flick the elbow after doing a turn. Orlando pulls through, but instead of following him, people just sort of slot in behind me. And I think this is when I started getting a bit frustrated. You can see from my shadow coming around this corner that I'm waving people to go past me because I'm not going to do it all myself. I don't have the legs at this point to chase those moves, and people just keep wanting to sit by me, sit on. So you can see my hand just here going, come on, pull through, I'm not closing that one. And that gets a few people to jump across and brings the pace back up again. A lap later, I've come to the front again, and as I said, I want to work out of this, so I'm going to pull through. Now, there's a little rise here. It's just a tiny little climb, so me doing 400 watts isn't actually a big turn. You can see from the shadow that I'm pointing, get on, get on. Unfortunately, I think the guy from Villawood didn't see, or he was cooked already. And so that just didn't work, and hey, once again we're all fragmented and nothing's happening. Alright, so we're 2.5 laps to go to the end of the race, and as I said, the brake's gone, there's absolutely no chance it's coming back, and so I decided to do a turn. Really this is just about emptying the tank and getting as much out of this as I can. So I hit the front and just, it says 250 watts, but I think I ramp it up a bit more before we go through. I've said this before, but this bottom corner catches a lot of people out, but it's really not as tricky as people think. We're going into this at 50 k's an hour and I'm pedaling through the corner. I was railing this at 60 k's an hour sometimes when there was a bit of a tailwind coming into the corner. It's really not a bad, tricky corner because you've got so much time at the back end of the corner to roll out. So you can, as long as you turn late and commit to it, you'll be absolutely fine at just about whatever speed. So I'm still hanging around at 400 watts. As I said, this is all about getting something out of the day, doing as much as I can, really emptying the tank, and then after about 30-40 seconds on the front at 400 watts, I flick the elbow, and that's just about my day. I come into the last lap, I sit up, I'm not going to be contesting anything, but I want to ask you a question about this little incident here. So just keep an eye on the guy in the very back of the rear camera. He's just coming around with the Cadex wheels. So he just about drops himself before this. He's on the inside of the track, he's on the other side of a rider, and then here he is, and he just swings into me as the race is moving to the right. So here's my question. Deliberate, or just someone who's absolutely cooked 10 minutes into a hard race? And the next question is, what would you do about it? Would you say something to commissaires, or would you just call it a racing incident and move on? Love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next one. Bye for now.